Hey everyone, this is the Heroes Podcast. I'm so happy I'm back again here. How are you, Heather?
I'm doing well, Andrea. How are you?
Well, I'm so excited about this interview. Before we go into your story, what I'll just intro you to everyone shortly before we'll find out, well, the exciting part of your journey, right? Dr. Heather Tucker is a business and life harmony coach. She supports entrepreneurs who are stressed and overwhelmed to increase their calm, confidence, and cash flow. She uses communication and coaching approaches to show you how to bring more ideal clients into your business, charge what you deserve, and create more freedom and certainty in your work, relationships, and all areas of life. Wow, I'm excited. So, tell me about your journey. I'm guessing that's not how it went in the beginning. Do you want to tell us where you were born,
Oh,
or what's been going on? What's been the biggest struggle and trouble for you?
thanks so much for letting me be able to share this time with you today. I want to tell you that my background is in something totally different than what I do now. So I was very, very smart as a child. I'm a PhD, and my PhD is information technologies and human computer interaction. And I got that at age 27. I graduated with a bachelor's in computer science at age 20. And my parents are also both PhDs. I ended up getting my dream job at the time, my dream job working for the Army at age 28. And it was interesting because whereas from the external world, I had reached the epitome of success, my internal world was nowhere near that. I struggled with a lot of depression, anxiety, uncertainty, unworthiness, feeling like what's the message? Like I'm trying to do well so much for everyone that I forgot to fill up my own cup. And then I was seeing so much things that were happening in the world that were just taking me down emotionally, right? Like so it's like this, I was operating like, okay, here we go. We're going doing something well. All of a sudden something happens and it would just bring me right back down. And then, oh my goodness, here we're going well again. And something will help and it brings me right back down. So there was this like bouncing up and down a pattern that just did not serve me. So I was super stressed. I was super overwhelmed. And whereas my career was great, my relationships and my connections and my family, there was so much struggle and turmoil. And so have you ever been like overwhelmed so much? Like all areas of life can be on alert, and all of a sudden you just have this popping moment where you just want to check out. You just want to check out, veg, watch TV, or do something. And there was a lot of unwanted behaviors back then, a lot of drinking. I barely do that now. So I went on a journey. I stepped into, and I think the biggest significant emotional event that kind of was like the straw that broke the camel's back was when it's known here in the United States, but it's not fully known all over the world. There was a boy named Trayvon Martin, and he was walking home from the store and was stopped by a man and attacked and killed. And he was the only thing I could think about was that he was the age of my nephew at the time. And so the killer actually got off because of stand your ground um bill, and he got off, and it was just like so devastating because he was African American female or male. And one of the things that had been this repeated pattern was that there were several African American women and men that were killed, murdered by the police or someone else, and it was just considered irrelevant at that time. And I was only 20 minutes from where this happened. So as I was seeing everything go down, I realized I could stay at this cushy job, permanent six-figure position, or I can really hear the call of whatever God has taken me for into being of service and start helping people step into their own empowerment. Because of what I learned on this journey is when there's no enemy within, nothing externally can touch you. And everyone has a calling, a value, a uniqueness. And most of the times they can't see it, like I couldn't see mine. And now I know that freedom is possible for everyone. Now, on this journey of entrepreneurship, so left the government, went into higher education for a little bit, and then got the call of becoming a coach. And I remember my family, and a lot of y'all can probably relate, you get this calling to do something, and then everyone in your world could be like, what the heck are you doing? You only got 20 more years. What are you doing? And I could hear the call for my life or continue to endure the pain fighting against it. So I went on the journey. I became a coach. I got married, ended up having a family. And that also brought more challenges, more stress, uncertainty, overwhelm. And the reason why I talk about business and life harmony is because it really is two sides of the same coin. We never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it really is possible to work smarter, stress less, and strengthen our relationships and lead with more energy, ease, and momentum. That was not the case in the beginning. So I had my own post-traumatic stress. My husband, who's a Purple Heart Marine Corps veteran, he had his own post-traumatic stress. And here we are trying to raise three little beams of light with their own personalities and their own stuff, right? So as a mom, a wife, and a CEO, there's many hats, there's many roles, and it can feel overwhelming, but there's a power when you take the pressure off of what's going on inside and allowing that to be wholeness. Then you can give from your overflow as compared to feeling depleted, exhausted. And that's what I love to be able to share with people. There was, of course, more on the journey, losses of loved ones, illnesses, all these different things. Those are things we can't control. We can't control what's happening externally. We can control how we respond to it. And their greatest powers in our response and figuring out what the message is in whatever mess there is.
That's powerful. What a story of ups and downs. I was wondering, what if anything, looking back now towards the past, what was, if there were some key factors to your awakening? And you mentioned, guidance from God. Was there anything else that stood out in transforming you?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that you were taught that came to mind is this part about understanding that a lot of times we'll have a significant emotional event or something happens. Maybe we change careers, or maybe we get in a different relationship or something like that. We think that we can just close the door and then move on, right? What happens is our mind, our body, our heart, and even our energy are this beautiful filing cabinet of everything that we've experienced. And it can create like this weight, unconscious weight. So, for example, we're born beautiful babies. Notice how babies heal faster. They get a scrape, they heal so quickly. And we have this empty backpack. But as we're going through life and there's these significant emotional events happening, we're adding these rocks to the backpack. And we end up normalizing this weight like this is just how it's supposed to be. That is not the case. We don't have to have a great past to have a great future. We get to recreate ourselves each and every day. And the one thing that I wish I would have known back then, and I'm so glad I know now, is that when we release the unconscious weight of the mind, the body, the heart, and the soul, it brings us back to wholeness. And then we can have a lighter way forward. Because otherwise, we're just dragging this weight with us as we're trying to do things. And that creates more resistance, more heaviness. And we're not able to fully hold the space for ourselves and other people having all of this on us. That was probably one of the biggest nuggets that I shared. And a lot of times our greatest fear, so Marianne Williamson, she has this beautiful poem and she talks about our greatest fear. Our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. And most of us, and without doing this work or anything like that, we can be operating in a lot of fear. You want to redefine the word fear, though. So that whole post-traumatic stress that I was telling you, we like our family has these additional challenges because there was this part about just so much fear, so much uncertainty. Well, how do we redefine fear? Usually fear stands forget everything and run or false evidence appearing real. But we want to shift that. We want to shift that to facing everything and rising so that we can then be able to feel everything and relax. And that's where our purpose and our passion and our reciprocity of us being of service, that's when it comes to its full light.
That's wonderful. I absolutely agree. To have someone helping you on the journey, to let go of the past and the shadows of the past is, I believe, a key to create life on your terms, or even getting to the stage where you can find out what you want. I find a lot of people are on the trajectory, just copying yesterday's and last month, and wondering how come they haven't achieved what they hoped or wished for, and sometimes even prayed for. And I would really want to ask you your opinion about, like, I see a lot of people, they're doing these affirmations and they are meditating, all of these things, and nothing really changes in their life. Like, how do you see them, that baggage, we call it baggage in Australia, how do you see, where is the real work needed at that point?
Oh my goodness. That's such a great question because, one of the reasons why affirmations don't work, especially if you don't have a belief about it to be true, it actually ends up reinforcing the negative. So if you have this affirmation like, I'm a millionaire, right? I'm totally priceless and valuable. And you say that, and then your unconscious mind says, no, you're not. No, it doesn't. You're actually reinforcing the opposite. So how to shift that is to be able to really go back to the programming and it doesn't just the shift doesn't happen just in the mind. It also happens in the heart and the body, because your body is that physical manifestation, right? So shifting that to be congruent when you say an affirmation, to first of all, you got to believe it. Same thing about entrepreneurship. It's hard to sell services and transformations if you don't have this 100 belief that you can facilitate transformation. Right. And so a lot of times people think that it's like, oh, I just got to get another skill. I just got to get another strategy. It's not about the strategy. We don't attract what we want as much as we attract what we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. What do I need to do? That's the questions that most people think is the key. Well, with the belief that you have listening to us, you are predetermined to have the results that correspond to the beliefs that you are carrying, that they're not good enough, the I don't deserve it, or nobody understands me. I've heard all kinds of beliefs that have been creating lives with less than optimal results, or so much a gap a mile away from what they wanted. So what would you say if somebody is stuck and honest enough to say, something's going on and I don't know how I create these problems that now I have done full circle 100 times? What would be the ideal next 3 steps to stop the repeat and create something?
Okay, and create something new. It's right. It's like the definition of insanity, repeating the same things and expecting to get the same result. It's so funny, and I get it. But the part that you mentioned that was so powerful is when you said honest. Okay, here's the thing. So remember I told you awesome in career, horrible in relationships, right? So horrible in relationships back then. I know I'm so much better in relationships now because I did the inner work. But this part about, oh my goodness, we tend to want to blame extenuating circumstances, other people, other situations. Well, who is the common denominator? You are, I am. So when we shift us, it shifts everything externally. And the thing is, oftentimes we're not able to figure out and have that clear awareness as much as working with a coach can be able to support you in that, working with someone to help you be able to win your inner world and master your outer world. And I'll share with you our 3-step process to help with this. The first step, you want to lean in. Okay, I got a challenge. Most of the time, we want to, like, I don't want to see this challenge. Let me focus on this. But you want to lean in. Okay, what's this challenge about? What's the battle? Are these internal voices, external forces? What's really going on? Because a lot of times, 100% of present challenges have roots from something in the past. So you want to lean into what's going on. That's the first step. The second step of our awesome process here at Another Level Living is that you want to let go. So here's the funny part. That is sometimes the hardest for people to do. I take it like this awesome analogy. There's this beautiful meme that's going on Facebook that I see every once in a while. There's this little girl. She's holding this teddy bear. She's holding this teddy bear so tight, so tight. And there's God on the other side of her. And behind him, he has this big old huge teddy bear. And he has his hand holding out, like, give me the teddy bear. And she's like, I don't want to let this go. This is all that I know. But she has no idea that behind his back, he is getting ready to bless her with this big old amazing teddy bear that is even far more better than anything that this little teddy bear that she's been holding onto can offer her. If we let go, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, right? Understanding that there's this quote by Robert Campbell, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. You're given this vision of, I'm supposed to do this. Mentally, we'll like, no, I can't do that. Or if it gets through your mental blocks, then emotionally it comes up, oh my goodness, there's so much fear. Like it has to be this great responsibility. Well, that's your treasure. And it doesn't have to be this heavy weight of like going through it and getting the treasure. It can be light, and you can have an army of support, even with coaching or having someone who has that skill to help you be able to get in and release what you got to let go of to get that treasure. But that treasure is your divine birthright. See, that's the funny thing about entrepreneurship is that victory is already ours. It's just about how we're walking in it. You mentioned this part about there's a lot of stuff to do, but the question is, how do we want to be while we're doing it? It is the being everything that we're called to be that allows the more effortless of doing everything that we're called to do. And the having becomes this beautiful byproduct. And it's something that is so much bigger than what you think of holding on to this. So letting go sometimes is the hardest. But after that, guess what you get to do? Step 3, you get to leap forward. You get to leap forward into this new, more amazing life that you can ever imagine, being of service, not only to yourself, but other people, and not having it feel like this great responsibility, but you just get to do it and enjoy it because of who you are. Your presence alone can shift things. So now's the time. I really feel with everything that's going on in the world, now is really the time for each one of us to step into our full lighthouse leader that we are. Because what does a lighthouse do? It stands, it shines bright. It's like, this is who I am. And then the right boats come to you. You don't have to chase. You align, you attract. You don't have to chase. You don't have to be loud. It's just a beautiful message. You get to be you. And it's safe to be. Owning that one belief, it's safe to be you. So freeing. And it's safe for other people to be them. So freeing. I want to just say this quick story about this woman. There was a woman She wanted to go change the world because she's all the stuff that was happening like me back then. She wanted to go change the world, and she got frustrated because the world wasn't changing. And then she said, well, let me just change my community. And then she got frustrated because the community wasn't changing. And then she was like, well, let me just change my family. How many of y'all listening have wanted to change your family? So funny. But she got frustrated because the family wasn't changing. And it wasn't until she was on her deathbed that she realized, man, if I would have changed, everything else would have changed around me. And I don't want y'all to wait that long. Like, go ahead and be the change that you wish to see. And I 100% guarantee everything's going to shift around you.
That's deep. And you will find fellows along that route, even if it's a new path. And that certainly was the case for me. I look back and I see most of my ex-schoolmates in what we call this golden, not the bracelet, but like the chain, the golden chain, where they have high salaries and they're not happy. And from Monday to Friday, they have to go to a place and hoping that a 3 weeks holiday will come closer, but it only comes closer to one day, and then they can't even take it when they want to, because I think there is some modern day slavery going on. So then they tell them when they could have their days off. Like, this is unreal. And a lot of people are they're subservient to these systems, and I think it's outdated. It's stamping on the human soul, who we are, to really express ourselves. It's detrimental to force people to these, I have to work for money. And certainly that was my life too. But I think it's all supported with a belief system, right? And that belief system has to change. There must be another way out. Like, when you have that little inkling voice, like, what would you say? What is the key to nurture that resisting voice, that maybe there is more for me? Maybe, just maybe, I could work 4 days a week. Maybe I could earn another $10,000, not necessarily working 10 more hours. Like, how do you do that? Well, how do you help your client to really allow that voice to become louder and louder?
Oh my goodness. I love that question. And I love your example of what you talked about, how I call it like that Iago trance that people can be trapped in, that those golden shackles. You wake up, you go to work, you're like, maybe go to happy hour after work because it's been a long day. Then you go home, you veg out, you go to sleep, then you wait like this thing, and then you get your paycheck. And it's kind of like that part about it. When you were talking about how it impacts the human soul, it impacts your expression of of your soul and who you are and what you're called to do. I remember that because I wanted to talk out so loud about what was going on and how I was feeling, but I couldn't because, oh my goodness, well, if I do that, then how is it going to impact this? How is it going to, we want to be able to break free from that. So, and it's interesting because I work with a lot of clients who are some are established entrepreneurs and they're like ready, but there's also a set of them that are transitioning out of a previous that Iago trance, those golden shackles, to stepping into their freedom. And I love working with both populations, especially that one transitioning. Because as you go from an employee to self-employed to a business owner to even ultimately an investor where the money makes the money, it requires an upgrade to your mindset and your heart space. Different beliefs have to come about the belief about money and time. And I'll let you know that money comes and goes. Like, there's a beautiful thing. It's an ebb and flow, love and giving, love and receiving. We can always make more money. We cannot create more time. And the time that we have and how we utilize that time is something that is so precious. Well, and there are hacks in the mind where we can expand time. We can be even more fruitful with our time. But one of the things, the most devastating thing is when someone gets that spark or idea. And I remember when it happened to me. I got this spark or idea while I was in the middle of that career, and then I went back to sleep. Back to sleep to the thing. Like, okay, cool. And then the spark comes up, and then I go back to sleep. So my message for those of you who are in that, and I get it, it's so interesting that several of my colleagues, the people I went to school with, they're millionaires, they're doing everything, but they're so stressful. And everything that kind of has shifted, where even some of them who work for the government thought that was secure, and now there's government employees losing their jobs and all this stuff. It's about breaking free from the external and false sense of security of a job and stepping into being self-secure and knowing that you're secure in who you are and what your calling is. And that there is not just people like, not just the beautiful thing is God will send amazing people to support you on this earthly plane, but your calling, your mission, your soul aligned message and vision, you got people supporting you all in the spiritual plane as well. So when you shift from like, I can only get this support from here, to, oh my good, plugging into your purpose, your passion, and just feeling that you have that ability to co-create and have that support. Like where God guides, he will always provide. And owning that belief and owning that truth will help override any of this false sense of security that you can get from another position or externally. You have all the reasons. This is why I love coaching so much. You see my Power of Coaching books, because it's when you step into that intrinsic motivation, connection, freedom, and purpose. And that's where true entrepreneurial freedom comes from. It comes from that inside out. It's not an external thing trying to get in. When you shine it from the inside out, man, then you get to just walk in your destiny. You just get to walk in your destiny. And the ripple effect. I want everyone who's listening to this, if you're in that transition and you're in that uncertainty, the ripple effect of your unique calling and living your unique purpose it's like a wave that can change the whole world, or even your whole world, right? How many lives are literally being lost as a result of us not showing up in our full light? And I get it, because one side of that fence can feel so good. But when you straddle the fence, a part of me wants to do this, a part of me wants to do that. That only causes more pain for you and all the people that you're called to serve. So step over the fence, step into that side of the fence that you're supposed to be on. The journey will be very interesting. And all of it will elevate you to where you're supposed to be, not only for yourself, but the entire world. And that's, there's just a beauty and freedom in that cannot be underestimated. Does that make sense, Doc?
Oh, it all makes sense. And what came to me is I already see in you and also in myself, this, when you plug in and get on your purpose, then in some way you become fearless. You become like they cannot control you anymore. And in today's world, I think there is a lot of mind control going on through media. Like they're really pushing people's buttons, especially the fear buttons. There is not enough, prices are going up, scarcity. It's spread to then have you on a remote control. And if you feel that listening to us, that your life is controlled by circumstances, controlled by, oh, I have to do this or have to do that because that's the only safe thing, then that's the limitation that you have. I'm not saying you have to. You could. challenge and have someone help you, like Heather here, to shift that belief, because you will either be, I say, a hostage to your beliefs, or you could become a master of the beliefs that you create or have, and then create results that you feel you deserve. And there is no limitation when you start to go deep into the word of the mind, and how to create or manifest. And manifest, the word is revealing what's already there, but I don't want to go into that one. Did you want to talk to this?
Well, you know what was interesting is that was making me think of this other story where, okay, you have a whole bunch of people at the bottom of a mountain, and we're called to move up, like as we're going through life and grad school and whatever our calling is. But as everybody's moving up the mountain, some people stop. And then, it was this story about like where there was a whole group, and then when one person got to the top, they looked down and they're telling everybody, come up, come up. He was the only one person standing. Come up, come up. And there was this thing about like, no, I can't. And it's all of their self-imposed limitations and beliefs that were actually preventing them from, taking the next step. Or even some people are called to that level. And there's some people that are just going to stay at those levels. But if you have that feeling like I'm called for more, and every person who is called for greatness has that feeling, that gut feeling inside, or gets some kind of spark or divination of like, I'm called to do this. You want to be able to lean into that and like, okay, and surrender, let go of what it's going to look like, let go of the attachment, because you're right. This common theme of mindset of scarcity and fear. And this is one of the reasons why I started teaching about the matters of the mind and heart, because when there's no enemy within, nothing externally can touch you. And the best part is that no one can ever BS you again. You can be able to see through their intentions, what's happening. You can know not how to overload your mind and heart and take in stuff that's going to be negative. Because when you have a belief that there is only abundance, there's only prosperity, guess what you're going to experience? Only abundance and only prosperity, right? That's it. So, and the best part about this, it makes you priceless. It makes you valuable. Like after being on this entrepreneurial journey and learning so much about this, like my services are priceless. I can't go back and work for a company just making like 85, 100K a year, because I'm worth so much more than that. You own your freedom and your value. And oh my goodness, then you're able to, so as compared to this part about most people in that scenario that you mentioned, they define their worth and their value from something external. In this journey that me and the awesome Doctor of Self-Worth are talking about, you own your intrinsic and natural God-given worth and value. And then you utilize that to unleash your greatness and your uniqueness. And then and there's another thing about this, there is no competition. That's so funny, because in that part about the scarcity, okay, I got to fight for this. No, you don't have to fight. The only competition is the one that you create in the mind, because everyone has their own unique knowledge, skills, abilities, experiences, and that uniqueness is what makes you, or whatever you create, or your brand, or your message, in a brand of its own. Absolutely. In a league of its own.
Well done. Thank you for sharing that. I think that puts a lot of people at ease, that it's not about red ocean, I call it, and there is blood to get front of others. You have to squash someone else to make it to success. Where's the best way to engage with you, Heather? If someone is keen to learn from you, to follow you.
Yes. Okay. My website and calling card is anotherlevelliving.com. Anotherlevelliving.com. We are on YouTube. We have awesome videos that we put out every week at Another Level Live. So YouTube. We're also on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. We have a Facebook page as well. If you go to www.anotherlevelliving.com, even on the homepage or /harmony, I have 7 secrets to more business and life harmony. And then over the series of a week, I give you 7 more secrets. And then you can also be able to have an awesome conversation with me. I would love to be able to connect with you. And one of the things I love to do is to give people the gift of clarity and freedom. There's nothing more generative than clarity, freedom, organization. And I'm really good with helping you identify whatever that biggest unconscious success block. And I can guarantee you it's not what you think it is. What's most important is that you get that clarity for a lighter way forward, because we're not called to stress. We're not called to struggle. We're not called to be freaked out and constantly overwhelmed. This is something that we did unconsciously. And life does not have to be that way. You don't have to have a great past to have a great future. You can recreate yourself each and every day. And I love doing that.
That's powerful. I'm wondering, as we are getting closer to the end of this interview, what have I not asked you that you wanted to share today with my audience?
Okay, so for those of you who may have gone through great things, I know what it's like to go through some great things, and we think that we cannot be able to heal that from the mind, body, heart, and soul and energy, but we totally can. It is 100% possible to release what was, to step all into what is, and leave from this place of wholeness and alignment and congruency and calm. And for those of you who've gone through great things, you're actually called for great things. One of the things that I learned on this journey is that sometimes the more stuff that you go through, the greater your calling is. Why? Because your message and your story and your testimony isn't necessarily just about you as much as it is about all those people in the world who need to be able to hear it. And what do you do when you have some of the stories that's just too difficult to share? Well, you heal them, you make them light, and then you can share it from a place of empowerment. And there lies the beauty of total freedom for all, not just some, everyone.
That's beautiful. Almost like Marianne Williamson, she said, you can share your light in the world or something like that. Heather, thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you again, to share some of your wisdom and throw it out in the world. See you soon.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.